Hello. Welcome back to Being in Nothingness. Alright, I think it's time to go for the difficult ones. Last episode, we completed all the 3 bean puzzles in the Island of Blobs. And so this episode, we're going to move on to the 4 beans. And I think this is where the struggle will truly begin. So yeah, look at the map. Well, 3 4 beans, and then 4 5 beans. Which is more 5 beans than we've ever had before. So this might become a problem. But it's alright, we will get through it, I think. So yeah, I'm gonna go through the 4 beans, you're gonna see how difficult it is. I'm gonna probably have to spend quite a bit of time on each of these, so yeah, the mini-series will get pretty long here. But alright, there you have it, the first 4 bean puzzles. This one's called Icy Circle. Oh, zoomed out, alright. So we start with 1 cyan, 5... Okay, so 1 icicle, 1 bucket, and 5 buckets and 2 blobs, and our goal is simply to enter through there. Okay. Icicle cannot actually freeze you. How will I get you then? A blob can become an icicle, I guess. So an icicle can put a... Yeah, right? So like, an icicle can put a block of ice here. If we had another block here, like an obstruction, then a block could slide here, break here, turn into an icicle and freeze you. That seems quite challenging, but I think that's the reason why we have 5 buckets. Okay, what is a good spot for icicle? I can't push anything this way. Like, an icicle cannot spawn in this row. So I can't really push anything this way, can I? Okay. I want to get a frozen block here then. Do I need a frozen block here? I might. But a frozen block here doesn't really... can't really be frozen. Because if we check the diagonals, there'll have to be an icicle here or here, which... Well, an icicle here... could be possible. We need a lot of icicles, and actually... we can have a maximum of 3 icicles, I see. Because, you know, 1 icicle and 2 blobs. That's it. That's all the icicles we can have. 3 icicles. So an icicle here could freeze something here, which creates a block that a frozen blob could smack into. Then the problem becomes, how do I get a frozen icicle here? That seems tough, because you would need a frozen block here in the first place. Which is difficult. Where else can I potentially create a frozen block here? How else can I do that? I am not sure. I guess another way is to put a solid object here that isn't a frozen block. Yeah, so maybe... but I can't shoot into this area because of the magical barriers. Okay, interesting. Okay. Right. So I can't get a bucket to drop a bean here and like turn into an icicle or something, or turn into another bucket. Okay. I guess that's somewhat interesting. If I I guess I could potentially have... No. I need too many. There's way too many. There's way too much space in this column to just put something here without having like a bunch of backstops in a row. No, that is not valid. Unless it's a 5 frozen objects here, 1 bucket, and then a frozen icicle moving along this area. That seems tough, because that uses up everything except 1 of each item. So like, with 5 frozen here, you can afford to use 1 blob and 4 buckets. You need a 5th bucket to oscillate, you need an icicle to freeze, and you need a blob as a frozen object to crash into the bucket. And frozen bucket... a bucket moving along this column in the first place is difficult because of the icicle, which must have existed. I realize I can have something frozen right here. Is that useful? So by putting an icicle here, Let's just put one there and we'll see where that can develop. But it seems like a problem, right? I mean, it's where I want an icicle to be, but it is most likely I can just put actually, hold on. I want to test something. Let's say I put a bucket in here. What happens here? It doesn't even freeze. Wow, okay. It just falls in. That's odd. But probably not a big problem. Actually, it might be a problem. Okay. Interesting. Is my final goal, in fact, to freeze you here? I think the answer is yes. I don't know how else I could get rid of this guy. There is no other way to just not restrict our movement. I think with such a thin pathway, I can't use a blob to stop you. I definitely cannot use a bucket. Stepping here is an immediate death. So all my preparation has to happen before I reach this point. You cannot be seen in any other way, so I can't redirect you. I can't, you know, possibly make a bridge for you to leave. Yeah, because you cannot roll up because you can't see me from above. So it must be freezing. I am fairly certain of that, and it must therefore mean an icicle here because there's nowhere else to freeze you from. I wish this game had floor markers that I can place down. Like, if I'm not wrong, Leaf's Odyssey has a floor marker. Leaf's Odyssey is another game that's very similar in, like, mechanic complexity to this, where it's a bunch of different monsters with various mechanics. Apparently it was very D-Rod-like. I'm not sure if this game itself is inspired from D-Rod, which, if you didn't know, stands for Deadly Rooms of Death, which is kind of similar in style, where again it's a bunch of different monsters with different mechanics and then puzzles as you travel through them. Leaf's Odyssey was a lot more like it. This one is a lot of singular puzzles with little exploration. Leaf's Odyssey and D-Rod had a lot more exploration to them. But the puzzles end up in the same style of things anyway. Yes, okay. So that's why, floor markers, I wish I had them, but this game either doesn't have them or has not introduced them to me yet. I don't know why, but yeah. Why this game would not have introduced me to floor markers, so probably that the game will not have floor markers. I have a grid here. I could use the grid, but I don't see how useful that's going to be right now. I suppose what we can use the grid for is like parity. So yeah, I mean this can just prove that icicle has to be here because icicles only shoot diagonally. Therefore, like a bishop has to be all the same colors. But it doesn't really help with anything else. Everything else moves in straight lines like rooks, which we don't need a grid for. Anyway, yeah, I'm babbling. Okay, so end goal, icicle here. Only possibility for that is the breaking of a frozen blob against something at this point. Reason for that is because there must be a frozen block here, implying the existence of an icicle before that. Before this icicle comes into existence. Either I slide up here, or I slide it here and something weird happens to it. I don't think that's quite the case, but that means we need a solid object here. I can fairly easily use an icicle to produce a lot of stuff in this column. So I can produce the two grounds here. The issue is getting a object as a wall here. That one seems to maybe require this row. But the issue is I don't know how that's going to work. But if I froze a blob and turn an icicle here, it could potentially freeze upwards. So, for example, a blob here can freeze down there, creating a viable icing spot here. Unfortunately, what does that mean for this tile? Because you can't go any further unless there were already a frozen block here. Is that possible? I don't know about that. That doesn't seem quite right. But this seems like a viable option at the moment. I can definitely, you know, put a bunch of buckets in this direction by just sliding this way. And I can do this. But if that's the case, that's all that the blobs are used for. It's still unclear to me as to how to get a solid object here. I can't shoot it. So it's unlikely it's a bucket walking in with something. Unlikely. Possible, but unlikely. I think it has to be an ice beam here, but that also doesn't seem possible. Again, grid shows us that ice beam here requires icicle to be here. So unless I can somehow get a frozen block here, which, can you do that? Maybe you can. Suspicious. Unlikely. Actually, very unlikely. How do I get a frozen block here? And even then, how would I get an icicle here? There's no collision that can happen at this position. Unless I already had a wall next to it, which I don't. Okay. So slide here, smack here. That is, I believe, well, it's easy, but it might not be the only way. Frozen aura cannot exist here, so how can I get a stable, unmoving object in this position? I realize that a frozen here, right, could quite potentially... I have walkable ground. Ah, I have walkable ground. Okay, interesting. So by doing this and creating an icicle here, what happens instead is I get actual walkable ground in this area. I don't know what that would mean in particular, however, if this weren't covered in frozen aura, I could walk on that. And maybe walking is useful. Is it possible? It's very tough to say. I can't get rid of icicles, can I? I don't think so. I can't really walk there. One thing I could do though is freeze myself in that position, but I don't see the point. So I can create walkable ground here, but then I freeze. And I will get slit if something hits me. So maybe that's not a good thing, but... I wonder if I could time... could I time this? No, because I have to do the pushing here, right? We only need a frozen object here, so you could technically be anywhere in the column as long as I get free control to push something down this way. You don't have to be here. Yeah, you don't actually have to be there. Huh. Interesting. Okay, so if you don't have to be there, you can be elsewhere. Wise words by me. That is not what I wanted. I wanted a blob here. So blob here can create that. And what can happen as a result... Well, firstly, I'm stuck already, but... Let's ignore that for the moment. I can do this, and like this kind of thing I wanted to happen, sort of. But I can't really go any further, can I? I can't really go any further. Okay, fair enough. I was thinking if I could use my own body as a blockage, but that seems unlikely. I suppose another thing that could theoretically happen is if instead... Where would the icicle have to be for that? No, the icicle... Well, the icicle could be here. It would give me ability to push this way and allow me to walk down here. So technically if I got an icicle here, that would be pretty cool. But that would be difficult. Because an icicle here requires a sliding from this position, or this column. I think. Which would then necessitate... Well, I guess this is also technically possible. Sliding this way. Right? Yeah, that's also technically possible. If I slit this way... but how do I... How about here? That's not bad. I can walk in here and push over. Yeah, it's all about sliding this way. So the setup that I designed now is something like this. Let's try that. So I can technically create an icicle here. It actually forms pretty decent walking ground for me. It's actually like barely workable. Barely workable. Might not be workable enough. Because how do I get a frozen bucket here now without this becoming a problem? I guess I could put something here to block. How many times? Okay. So let's say I do put something there to block. Let's say I put a bucket there to block this front beam. I can put other buckets in here. This will create some bridges. And I can in fact walk over here and shove them in. So this can act as a bridge, like a legitimate bridge now. And if I have enough buckets, I can actually walk over to that point. Then I can just shoot things, right? Yeah, okay. So I can shoot stuff because I can stand there now. Meaning, for example, I can suddenly just take you, because I no longer need to push anything down this way. I can put an actual physical bucket there. And that is my solid object. So now what remains will be a frozen block here, which will end up here. And of course, the blob, which will turn into the icicle. So this will create... Yeah, there you go. That was cool. What a puzzle. Okay, that was nice. Very fun, very fun. Okay. That was exhilarating. Can't tell, you can't tell, but my heart is beating pretty fast right now. I like that. I feel like I stumbled into the situation. Sorry, I stumbled into the solution, kind of, by accidentally stumbling upon that setup that would work. But I would like to credit myself for that puzzle. I did a lot of the deductive work there, figuring out what was available and what wasn't. Alright, let's continue let's continue actually clockwise. The next one would be explosive shortage, which would be this one. The one with lots of lots of uncolored beans. Alright, bomb, cloud, a single blob, and this button which opens both of these. Yes, and also closes that. So stepping on this will close that permanently. Okay. And if I happen to have... Well, if I happen to have anything there, then that wouldn't work. Right, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. I need quite a lot of bombs here. Okay. Now, what is the goal of this being here? So is it I have to stand here and shoot this way? But wouldn't I already be done with the puzzle then? Or maybe, is it to prevent that from being a cloud here? But I could just drop all my beams before stepping here and I'll be fine. Why would I want a cloud here either? That wouldn't push the button at all. I do want this to actually be pressed though. So once I come here, I need to activate that. So like, I see that the problem with this is that I can't have a blob form here. Otherwise, if I had a cloud shoot this, it would just, it would straight up become another cloud, which wouldn't work for me. However, what I could have here is the creation of a bomb there. And maybe that's why there's an explosive shortage. Oops. Oh, yeah, okay. Cloud will prevent me from... Well, I don't have to... Oops. I don't have to, do that right now. But I have to cross this area while the cloud is staring at me. So that's a problem. Also, I need 3 explosions for this, I'm pretty sure. 1 to destroy you. Whoa, how many explosions do I need for this? That's a lot of explosions. I need 1 to destroy you by hitting against here. But this one's tough. So I feel like I need this to chain. I need a bomb here, but I can't explode you directly, so I need another bomb here. This one I can't explode directly, so I'll need 4 bombs for this? That's a lot of bombs. So can I somehow do this without using a cloud? I have a lot of beans, I guess, but that doesn't say much. I'm severely short on explosives. A blob can become a bomb, so we technically have more bombs, but that doesn't say much. Can I use? Wait, no, hold on. The exploding of a blob turns it into a bomb. Yes. So... but would that change anything? So for example... I could have a combination of blob here, blob here, bomb here. If I push that, this will form a bomb. The blob here will form a bomb. The bomb will explode exploding this, but there wouldn't be a bomb here to chain. Maybe the blob can show up here, but then there would need to be... Fascinating, I guess. Yeah, extremely fascinating. Oh, well this is... Ooh, what is this puzzle? Can't put anything there right now, but I'm very interested as to why this line of sight remains available. Why? Is it just there to like make me feel funny about my solution? Is it a red herring? Maybe. I don't suppose I can teleport over there just by, you know, looking over water, can I? I don't think so. A cloud can shoot here, but I don't see the purpose of that at all. Like, this thing would need to not even be there. Can't cross water. Except for shooting. Shooting can cross water. Okay. So there's some clear issue here. I can create more... I can create more white beans, yes, using a blob. So blob into bomb... Sorry, blob into cloud. Into explosion. Will give me an extra 2 beans, I believe, turning my number into 9. Yes, which is... If I have 1 bomb here... 3 cloud... 3 for a cloud, that's 4. 5 for this. Here we need 4, right? That is 9, okay. So that almost works. I'm fairly certain the only issue is traveling this area without getting hit by the cloud here. And that must somehow occur by... So I need to be in this area. Activate this guy. Can this let me out again? Hold on, I need to check. Activating you let me out. I think it might. Okay, so... Just in theory... No, because... Oh, this is consistently... Oh. Wait, what? Oh, you close this permanently. You close this permanently. It stays closed permanently. This button is a close button. This button is a close button as well. There is no open button. I see. Okay, that makes sense. I thought this would switch states, but it's not. It's just close. It's not a switch state button. Okay. I don't know if all buttons here switch states. I don't think so. This button only closes. Doesn't do anything else. Okay, well that's a problem. Alright, let's first start by trying to create 9 beans. I need to figure out the setup for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a blob there. Put a bomb here. Oops. Bomb here. Cloud. Okay. The bomb probably should have not been this close. Okay. Wait, I need to stand on the other side. Uh-oh. Okay, hold on. Good enough. I'm gonna put out my beans. Hello? Beans. Alright, there you go. 9 beans. And 9 beans seems enough. But obviously I have an issue. Which is that if I happen to pass through, I have a lot of beans left, but I can't cross here. I need a blockage. I suppose that means I either need another bean for a bomb. Yeah, I need another bean for a bomb, huh? Or a blob. I need something to block vision. So in theory, perhaps I could have placed a bomb here. You know, and that bomb could act as a way to block the cloud's vision. But then I'd be short on bombs. I'd be one bomb short. So I need to find a way to either save on bombs or acquire more beans. It's one of the two. So now I'm missing one bean for this. Or I need to find some way to reuse you, which is difficult. Well, I can definitely get rid of you without crossing this barrier. But the second explosion doesn't work, neither does the third. Okay. I don't think this quite works. If instead of a bomb, it was like a stash of 2 beans. No, not really. Okay. So which is the correct option to continue exploring here? Save a bomb or get more beans? I don't know if I can really get more beans. I only have 1 blob. And only 1 blob means I can only potentially produce another cloud. 1 more cloud at the cost of 1 explosion, which is 1 bean, means I can only gain 2 more beans. I think that's true. 2 more white beans. For the cost of 1 purple. Now I believe that's true, although I may be wrong here. I can also create 1 more bomb with a blob, but that's equivalent to saying that this will become a white bean. Because if we are now considering a blob equivalent to a bomb, yeah. I think we straight up need 4 here. We need at least 1 here. A cloud here plus a bomb here already uses. Yeah, that's already 9. That's already 9, and we have a maximum of 8 if we didn't do that duplication trick. Okay. Blocking vision. Blocking vision. How do I block your vision? I have to shoot on here. Like, this spot looks interesting, but I see that there's a wall here specifically meant to stop me from putting a cloud in this position. Very clever. You could have just put water there, I think. But I guess not. Okay. Okay. And with the blockage, we would need 10 beans total. So currently the amount we spend is 10. Our budget is 9. We need, yeah. As the maximum we can create, we need 2. Although I'm fairly certain this is 4, I'm fairly certain this is 1. Don't know about the cloud situation. I don't know if I can somehow retrieve the beans that the cloud has created. Like, for example, if I had a cloud here, I used a blob, but a blob wouldn't block vision. We'll just turn it into another cloud. Yeah. Okay. But I could. Okay, hold on. What I could do. No, the cloud is always going to be here though. I was thinking if I could use the blob here, if I could like have a very long trick where I duplicate the cloud, but it's in a completely different area. So something that would look maybe a bit like, oops, like this. Wrong bean. That's the right bean. So something that would look like this. So what I want to do is use 2 beans as a blockage. Use 1 bean as a blob that will stay here. And the final bean will be the bomb. So you can block vision. Oh crap, okay. That's not good. I mean, yeah, but I don't really have beans to spend anymore. And once you go past this point, you know, you just turn into another cloud, which will shoot that, but there's nothing here. This was already good enough as a blockage. I don't know. It protected the... I suppose it protected the... It did protect you. I mean, still... Okay, okay, hold on, hold on. So something that I might have been looking for is like... Yeah, something like that. Of course I wanted this being over here. Like this? We're just gonna recreate that. I realize that now. Alright, this is a big mistake. Big mistake. 7. I'm stuck here. That legitimately does not open ever again. What kind of a machine would do this? Bomb here. No. Like, it feels like there has to be a cloud somewhere here to activate this. I feel like that's forced. Although I don't know what, you know, that would necessarily mean. Is it actually forced? Probably not. There are probably other ways of getting a bomb there. Could put a blob there, but I don't see the point. Like, the point is that we need to be at least this far in. We need to cross this barrier before activating this. So it is at this point we activate this, otherwise we can't cross, or otherwise we get blocked. So it must be in this exact area, I think, where this is activated. It is potentially possible to deactivate it, but I don't see any reason I should do that. Because this can't be... Deactivating this doesn't do anything. The button has been pressed. Is that true? Is that true? I would like to know. Hold on. So let's put a block there. So what happened here is this will close. This will activate you for 1 turn, and then deactivate you by turning into a cloud. That does not pull you back down. So you are in fact permanently closed. So this button does permanently close you. Like, pressing this on and off again doesn't undo this. If it did, I could maybe have set up some system to... No, that wouldn't have done anything different anyway, even if it worked. Okay, I guess not. Sure. Such a weird puzzle. Such a weird puzzle. Yeah, we're just straight up short of 1. I really wonder if we had a blockage here. Could this bomb be useful? Or could this blockage be useful? Like, what I could do is I could put a blockage here. If this was already blown up, I will walk past, put down the beans here, go back, use you for something, and then use the beans here. But the problem is that at this point, since this is already blown up, that would imply that whatever is blocking here cannot be used to blow this up again. That is not your use, if you have a use at all. Right, I could put a bomb here to block, but that bomb isn't going to do anything. It wouldn't blow this up because this would already be blown up. This bomb here would be useless, unless it could do something useful for me, which I don't see any use for it. Because yeah, I could use you as a blockage, put some beans here and store them here, then come back and use you for something useful again. Can't be a blob because blobs turn into clouds. It could be a set of 2 beans, an invalid recipe. But then it becomes very volatile. I can't step here and pick it up. And I only have 4 beans here, right? So if there were 2 beans here, I would only have 2 beans brought here, when in theory I need 4. At this point in time, every single bean is used. And so, like... What do I do with 9 beans? What do I do with 9 beans? We actually should have 5 here. I think so. I can't cross, right? I legitimately cannot cross this. Yeah. Is the block really just for grabbing more beans? I don't think so. I feel like that would be pretty uncreative of the puzzle if the only use of the block was to duplicate a cloud. I guess it'd be used for something else, right? But we get the most bombs out of doing that though. So maybe the blob has some prior purpose. I mean, obviously it cannot block because it would turn into a cloud, but maybe it has some other prior purpose. Like what? I don't know what kind of purpose the blob would have. Can't bring a blob through here unless it's trailing behind me. But that also wouldn't make any difference. Not really. I'm thinking of using the blob as no. There's a setup of bomb here, cloud here. That's also very simple. I don't know if I should assume that that's true or not. That's not convoluted at all, but something inside me says that that might not be the most efficient way of using my bombs. Because there's a bomb here that is unused, right? If it was something else, that would be pretty useful. Like a blob. But unfortunately, it can't be a blob because, you know. I mean, again, something that could happen is blob here, bomb turns you into an actual bomb. I can walk past here, sideline blocked. But again, I'll still be missing something. And now that we're using an actual blob itself, we lose even more white beans as a result because we never did the duplication trick. Yeah, I'm gonna get a moment with this one. Like a real moment. Unlike the previous puzzles, I don't even see like a conceptual way to do this one. Much less a setup that would work. I guess it kind of looks like this would work with almost any setup as long as I can find it. So I would suppose this puzzle is a lot more conceptual. In that rather than finding a good setup, I have to find a way that just works. It's like a resource management puzzle. I mean, yeah, most puzzles are resource management. Most of the puzzles here are resource management. But some are setup puzzles, like the previous one. Okay. Let's see if I can have a final think about this. Just really, really quickly. My goal is to either obtain one more explosion or complete the task in fewer explosions. So I need to either obtain one more explosion or find a way to do it in less. Raise my fund... No, raise my... I need to either raise my budget or lower the cost. That's the analogy I'm using. Economics. Now I can raise my budget by doing that duplication trick, which raises my budget by 2. Technically by 1, because you could have been a bomb. So technically by 1, I've raised my budget by 1. But I still need to lower the cost by 1 or raise my budget again, which seems tough. Yeah, the one way I'm thinking that this could work is a line of sight blocker that is eventually useful later on. But that is difficult because the line of sight blocker will have to be on this island, I think, as it can't be here because I'm walking here. Can't trail behind me because it wouldn't block anything. Maybe it would. Hold on. No, I can't cross this point until I activate this. So I can't stand here and activate you. If I could, it would be really easy because I could have just been carrying all the beans here. Quite obviously. Yeah, what's a line of sight blocker that gets useful? Like a cloud, a blob wouldn't be useful because it would be shot into a. It would be shot into a cloud. Right? It'd be shot into a cloud. If I then, blew it up to get more beans, which still actually wouldn't really be worth it, it would just become more clouds. I could use beans to block the path, but we already know that wouldn't work. So one thing that could work is something like this. At this point, I blow you up. I don't even have any more beans to bring over. But I'm missing beans somewhere. Yeah, and those two beans are basically irretrievable now. The only way I could think of, retrieving is by doing this. Yeah, picking up beans gets you shot as well. I don't know. Blobs are so easily losable. Like, can I get a blob bean back out of this? No, right? I don't remember if we went back all the way to scarce resources. No, it was the vines that could keep getting respawned. The vines could keep getting respawned. It was the blobs and bombs that couldn't respawn because once they turn, the source becomes different, or they just don't drop anything. So I can't keep creating blobs. Unfortunately, I cannot. I can shoot. No. Yeah, so like right now, a blob is either worth a blob. It's either worth its physical properties, or it's worth 3 beans. It's worth one of the two. A bomb could oscillate here. Why would that be useful? I don't know. Because, again, bombs here just they don't do anything. I really want whatever's in here to have another use. It could be a blob, but it's not a blob because a blob will get shot into a cloud immediately. Unless that blob's line of sight was blocked by something else, in which case that other blockage would already help me. So it's not a blob blocking the line of sight. It could be a bomb. What would that bomb do? What would that bomb do? See, I don't know what that bomb would do. I don't know what I can do with 9 bombs. Okay, so... Okay, so we have 9 beans at this point in time. Let's save this setup, because I really don't want to keep doing that every time I restart. So now we have the usual setup with our 7 white, 1 purple. And then we have the other one with 9 white, in case I ever want to start off with 9 white. It seems ideal, but obviously probably isn't. I can't find another use for the blob though. That other blob is so detrimental with clouds. It just is, somehow, so detrimental with clouds. I don't get it. It just spreads its problems everywhere. I legitimately need to physically move here to put a... I need to put a bean here, regardless of whatever I need a bean there, so I need to physically walk there. Like at the start, I could you know trick the game into preparing stuff here and then blowing up this way, but like these two definitely need beans past the line of sight. So we'll be losing one. Yeah. I wonder if I could use an invalid recipe as a way to... No, but invalid recipes become lost to the clouds. I can't pick them up again unless something else blocks. Which isn't really quite doable. Any way to get past you without exploring? I think I do have to explore to get past you. I have to walk past you here. I have to stand here and then walk past here. I'm pretty sure that's all fours. I have to find just a way to avoid that. And it's only within this rectangle. Here's bad. Here looks almost possible, but not quite. It'd be quite interesting though if I could do this sort of trick. But I don't see how I could activate something there just by shooting from here. Yeah. The other thing that could happen is cloud here. But like that, is that possible? Oh, you know what else could happen? I could use a blob as a placeholder here, but it's gonna shut off, right? Okay, so like, okay, the other problem is that actually because of this being a turn, it's hard for you to stay in place there. I mean, you're stuck there, and it's not really useful. And now you're stuck there, so like, don't really have much for you to do besides getting you stuck there. I don't know why this would be useful, because like, I literally could not access you anymore. So that's quite bad. I feel like it would be fairly cool if I could use that as a way to hold open a door, maybe. So like, yeah, you could go there. I mean, you get stuck. But I could potentially just put a bomb here as a result, right? What? Oh, right. Bomb here as a result. I get 6 white beans back. So now what I can do is I can, like, if I could get rid of you, I could just walk past and I think all our problems would be just solved. Now that's the tricky part because... Let's get rid of you. Okay, I think this is a better thing to work towards. Okay. So using it to hold up this so I can get in and then getting rid of you afterwards. There are a few ways I can do that, but it actually does seem fairly challenging otherwise. That closes the door behind me. That's bad. Yeah, okay. So what can I do for this? Can I really not get rid of you? If I blew you up... I mean, you just become a bomb. That doesn't help. Yeah, that bean gets stuck up there, which is not good. I could theoretically have already placed a bean there. Yeah, that's fascinating. I could have placed a bean here. So it doesn't have to be a blob. I think this could be a bomb too, I suppose. But you need to be holding stuff down. The issue now is that, I mean, even if you were a bomb, then things still get problematic, right? I can't get past you. Yeah, that gets rid of me. I could use a blob for this, so... Yeah, but that replaces that, so like that doesn't help me at all. Yeah. Why would it help me at all? I'm stuck. Okay, maybe that's where the cloud comes in, but if that is where the cloud comes in, how will we deal with that? Can't just blow up a cloud. Will a cloud hold stuff up? Like, will a cloud hold this down? I think a cloud would hold you down, right? Let's quickly check. What? Okay, a cloud would not hold you down. That's actually really interesting. Are clouds really that transparent? I mean, I guess so if you can, like, if they're just made of, like, water. Why not? Hmm. So how would I get rid of... How would I get rid of, a blob? Blobs can't cross water, so that's a problem. Potentially, no, I could not potentially have something already here because I couldn't get in there. Blobs can't turn into anything useful. If they did, they would just be blocking the way again. So maybe that's not really that plausible anymore. Right? Yeah, okay. If I had 9 beans, I could spend 4 beans to deal with this issue. Seems tough. If I had whatever beans I had now, I put a blob there. I would have 2 beans to resolve this issue. So the remaining 5. I really wish you as a blob could do something interesting while here. But that's a problem, that's tough. Yeah, I don't know what I can do about this one. I mean, you close once pressed 1, so I don't think holding on to you or with anything would be nice. It would be that useful. Yeah, seems tough. I don't really have any bounceable ground either, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I technically have this where a bomb can oscillate, but an oscillating bomb is not useful. It is still a bomb that doesn't really, you know, work. It's an oscillating bomb, but an oscillating bomb is equivalent to just a static bomb. In that it will block vision, but what use is blocking vision if... Yeah, what use is blocking vision if I lose 1 bomb anyway? I might as well just have had a static one here. I've done the exact same thing. I was thinking if I could get you to somehow get rid of you. Right? Like if I maybe placed... If I placed a blob there... But how would that... That really wouldn't work. I have to be standing here. You'd have to be hit... Well, no, that's not true. Okay. So, like, I can do this. I can do that. Not that. So, no, I don't want a bomb beam there either. I want you here. There's no reason why I would like that. But, see, the problem is that, yeah, I mean, this works. If I try very hard, I can create an explosion there. That gets rid of that. That gives me quite a lot of bombs, but that doesn't get me out. Those beams are stuck. Just out there. Yeah, I mean, there's no more line of sight, but there's also no more beans I can access. So if only I could obtain those, which I'm not sure if I can. If I just started regularly, I think that also technically works. But once again, there's even more stuck outside. If I got a bomb here, destroyed it. Mm. I mean, yeah, but this wouldn't do anything. Oops. It will just create that. Could this guy do anything for me? No. Not that I know of. Hmm. It's just a blob. I guess what could happen is that I could blow you up. Oops. And once I've blown you up, you are no longer a cloud that is a problem to me at all. So what can happen is I can first create a cloud that turns you into a cloud. And then by blowing you up, this cloud is no longer shot at by you. Oh, but you guys, okay. Okay, then I will need to aim fairly perfectly. To do this sort of thing. Yeah, I have 3 beans, but that's like way worse. In fact, I think we've been in this exact situation before. So I found a way to use a blob creatively, but that didn't gain us anything. Didn't gain us anything at all. That looks very interesting though. I don't know what I got from that in particular, but... Hmm. Hmm. Could I use that idea? Oh, it's challenging. We basically lose 3 here. There's a bomb here that explodes already, so we lose another. That's a 5th. So that's already 5 out here, meaning even if we keep everything here, we will not get enough beans. This stash is so enticing. I really want it. I want it back. I want my stash of white beans back, but they're not going to show up again. What if I did it the other way around, where it's like... Oops. Like that? But how is that useful for us? Yeah, we have this, but like... So what? If I manage to get... yeah, if I manage to get this stash, I would have 5, but clearly it's not possible in this case. If I had all 9... No, then I'll need 3 here. It's the exact same. In both cases, the blob becomes a cloud. So in both cases, they are actually equivalent. Despite not having done the 9 bean procedure here. They are both equivalent because the turning into a cloud happens eventually. Yeah, that's how you get most value out of your blob anyway. Turning into a cloud, you get the most white beans out of it. It's just the 9 bean thing, the 9 bean procedure doesn't happen, which is why it appears to be different even though it's exactly the same. If I could somehow have... But I can't, you know... I couldn't have gotten rid of you. You always catch me here. Okay. Hold on. Okay, what if a bomb is here, a bomb bounces, I create you, and this happens. That is held up. Ah, and I'm on the other side now. So using one bomb and one blob, I have allowed myself to cross this area and somewhat have the ability to go back. Although I'm not entirely sure if I want that or not, because that closes permanently after that. Do I want that? I mean, that closes permanently, right? I can't do this and repeat that. Can I repeat that process? Not really. Okay, like let's say I account for this and I place another white bean here. That's kind of a problem. I see. Hmm. So I'm not quite sure what I'm doing right now. I guess I could have done something like this. Oops. Oh, okay, never mind, I guess. This looks somewhat one way as well. Why am I here, by the way? I don't know why I'm here. Wait. Oh, yeah, okay, see, this is not pressed, so... Obviously, we have some issues. And obviously, this is not fine right now. Because... Yeah. I can't do that right now. Because you're blocked, and that prevents me from doing that trick. Which wouldn't have been helpful anyway, right? So what was that trick again? Let's just quickly run through that trick. That trick was to do this, do that, do that, do that, and then that. And this works because I can put a bomb here. If I tried to do it with just a white bean, stepping off would already have pushed this door upwards, preventing me from shooting it. So this works right now. But now I need this to be on. And if it had been on before, then this opens up. Unless this was already something else. So the question is there any way I can try and like, you know, do funny stuff here? To maybe, you know... Yeah, I mean, I try to do some funny stuff here, but I kind of wanted to block on the other side, right? Yeah. So what would have been here to block? Nothing. To step on this bean. I don't know, does putting all beans here actually do anything? I think the weight of the beans does not matter, yeah. I don't think any number of beans would actually hold you down. Okay, we can therefore say that monsters are either infinitely heavy or beans are infinitely light. Infinitesimally light. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I don't know if this is a good thing to do. This looks really good though, but I don't see the use in this setup. Because this is not something I can, like, you know, get out of. I suppose I can do that, but then what? Can't do anything. Was there any reason why I wanted this to go? Like, suppose I can now go back out and do something. What is that something that I could do? Yeah, that doesn't do anything for me. And I can't keep just walking out because I'll get, you know, trapped. Could you have been a blob? Could you just have been a blob? I don't think so. I don't think a blob can ever just stand here, unless I'm on the other side, then I can just shove a blob into this place. But that seems like a problem. I don't think that's actually what I want to do. No. Right. Yeah. Okay, the cloud recipe is interesting. I don't know if it's used as a red herring because it's so prevalent. It's so prevalent. Does having 9 beans help? No, right? I can't do this bottom trick if I had just if I had just bombs. No. What about this? No, that wouldn't work because the door opens before you can shoot. If I waited here, obviously I would get shot. So this wouldn't work. Yeah, you raise up too early. Okay. So that wouldn't work. I mean... Yeah, because if it worked the other way around, right? Like, I could technically have just shoved the... I could have gone out this way, but then wouldn't this be permanently locked anyway? I think it would be. Okay, like if I just had a purple bean, if you follow me here and I walk back, I can't get back in again. There's no way to get back in. There's just no point. There's no way. Yeah, no way. What am I missing here? What is this super important trick that I need to know? Why is this 4 being so much higher than the other one? I'm not just that bad at resource management. I guess I am. I did say I was gonna take a last peek, but I guess I've taken a bit longer than that, huh? No, I don't think so. Okay, I'm gonna really need to have a good think about this. The problem with leaving at this point, right, is that I get really tempted to look at hints. And I just really want to stop that. After Ice World, I'm still really guilty about looking up the hint for that final puzzle. And I don't want to do that, but like I'm gonna get so tempted. It's possible that what I can do is just leave this until next time I come back here. So we consider this to be a skipped puzzle. Which is what we did. There's one puzzle in Ice World that was skipped. Yeah. I could pull that off. I could try. I don't think. There's something very... No. Yeah, I don't know how complicated this solution is. If I knew how, I might find a better way of thinking about it. But at this point in time, I have zero idea on what I need to do. Except for the fact that I need to enter here with 5 beans and without a cloud gazing into my soul at this point. Yeah. That's what I need. And the best I can do is result in myself being exactly 1 bean short. Where 1 bomb is here blocking the way. I have a lot more questions as well. Which is, how useful is a 9 bean procedure? Is it better to have 9 beans at the start, or is the blob's physical property going to help me with something in the future? It's so troublesome that blobs are into clouds after being shot. Do blobs have any prior... Yeah, what other properties do blobs have? I don't know. I wonder. I could get a bomb here. I could be on this side. The problem is that requires a blob. I was thinking if I could somehow get out from here, out in this direction with a blob. No, that would still be not a really easy task to do, I don't think. Okay, no, that's probably not it. What am I looking at? What am I looking at? Blob. Yeah, I don't see any physical property that a blob has that could potentially do anything. Could definitely do some interesting stuff, but no. The thing is, like, if I put something here, it would have to be useful, which it clearly won't be, except to blow this stuff up, which it can't, because it would already have been blown up. It would need to block field of view or block line of sight while I'm here, implying this is already gone. Therefore, this object cannot be used to explode these. It will have to be used to go up here. So if there were a line of sight blocker here that I reused, it would have to be up here somehow. How many bombs? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 3 bombs here if I did that. I have some bombs outside. If I got rid of the cloud and I came out and collected that would not be easy at all. If we put a cloud here, we're assuming to have lost the cloud. We're assuming to have lost everything here once we cross this barrier. Anything here cannot be retrieved anymore. I would assume if we could retrieve it, would be in a lot of excess of beams, which is not really right. I wonder if anything can cross leaks besides beams, but I don't think there's anything. Yeah, okay. What other physical properties of blobs are there even? Like, I actually have no idea what other physical properties of blobs there are. If I bump the blob into like a bomb, does it turn into a bomb immediately? I don't think so. How do I do this? I was in a really bad spot. Nope. You undo that. Okay, cool. Not useful. I don't know. Alright, I'm fairly ready to give up at this point. Yeah. Would a cloud do anything at all? The problem is I need this pressed down. Like, it's not a cloud here unpresses it thing, because that's straight up not what I want. I want it to be pressed down. I want it to be pressed down like basically forever. So cloud here is useless. Anything that can result in cloud here is a waste. If the puzzle can end with a solid object on this, that would be like really, really good. I really want to experiment with cloud here, but like how would that be activatable here unless there were already a cloud somewhere here? Like, it's a corollary. If I have to stand here and create a cloud, then that cloud would necessarily be able to shoot back from where it is, unless I can block line of sight permanently afterwards without losing anything. I don't think that's possible. I straight up do not think that's possible. Okay. I don't know. Yeah, alright, I am probably gonna give up on this for a while. I think this episode will move on to the next puzzle because I really do not know what to think about this. So yeah, I will solve this next time. But I think that's gonna be it for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys next time. Bye bye.